Do you find yourself having tired hands after playing the ukulele? Especially if you're a beginner, there are some secrets you can do that will help you prevent having sore hands. So, Mr. Cameraman, come close. For example, if you're going to play a G chord, here are some ways you can play it that will hurt your hands. If you have your palm against the neck of the uke and your hand all squished there, that's going to hurt with time. So here's two things you can do right away if you're making a G chord, for example, and you want to have your hand not be stressed. The first thing is to lower your thumb halfway down the back of the neck. See, right away that opens up the palm of your hand so that it's not squished up against the neck of the ukulele. The other secret is where your wrist is in relation to the neck. So for example, if your wrist is really far back, like here, that puts pressure on your fingers that doesn't need to be there. If you press your wrist way far forward, that's a little bit of pressure too. So I find when you're first playing ukulele, it helps to move your wrist way to the back and way to the front so you can feel the extreme positions, and the stress they create, and then find a kind of neutral spot in between. So basically, for the ukulele chord forming hand, the left hand for most people, it's going to be really important, first of all, to drop your thumb partway down the back of the neck, to move your wrist backwards and then forwards, but find then the kind of a neutral in-between spot. And then the other thing to pay attention to with your left hand is whether your wrist is towards the left of the headstock or to the right, which would really hurt, or kind of in the middle. So if you're doing a chord with a lot of notes in the same fret, like a D, for example, having your wrist straight like that, straightforward, is kind of stressful, but if you move your wrist to the left, that opens up your hand a lot and feels more comfortable. So when you're first starting and you're doing chords such as this G chord, again, the tips to look for are having your thumb slightly down the back of the neck, always having a little bit of space between your palm and the neck. Check backwards and forwards with your wrist to feel stress points and relaxation points, and then also wrist to the left and to the right. Those are the most important ways to take good care of your left hand. And here's one other trick. With your right hand, sometimes the classic way to hold a ukulele is way high up like this. And if you're using a strap, you might also just have your forearm pressed against the ukulele, and that gives you a counterbalance to what your left hand is doing. So you can do the old cello player trick, which is not even having your thumb touching the back of the fret of the neck, but having the pressure or tension you need coming from the forearm pulling back while your fingers of the left hand are pulling back. So you don't even need to touch the fretboard with your left hand, but you're getting the pressure you need for making the chord from the right hand forearm. So it's like pull back with the forearm, pull back and pull your fingers back into the neck, but not necessarily needing your thumb. So the biggest thing with that is not squeezing your thumb against your fingers to get the pressure you need to make the chord, but pull the fingers back and counterbalance with your forearm. So I can just take my thumb out of the equation altogether. Woohoo! So those are things you can do to take good care of your left hand so that it doesn't get tired after making chords. So real quick, in summary, the thing you want to do is, if you're making a chord with multiple fingers, have your thumb down the back of the neck instead of squeezing tight. Always make sure there's a little bit of room between your palm of your hand and the neck of your ukulele. I forgot the name of it. Then look for your basic position of your wrist being back or forward relative to the neck, and then find the neutral spot, and then having your wrist way to the left or way to the right, and again, find a neutral spot. And if a chord is tricky, try moving your wrist to the left, and that should really help. And then finally, having most of the pressure of making the chord come from pulling your fingertips against the fretboard and counterbalancing with the forearm against the body of your ukulele. So you can actually make your chords without necessarily even using your thumb. But you probably want to use your thumb just for finding a spot. So there you go. That's one way to take good care of your left hand while you are playing ukulele. Keeping it all relaxed is the key.